Hello everyone. Today we're going to talk about the Zeigarnik Effect. This psychological phenomenon shows that people tend to remember unfinished tasks better than completed ones. We will explore its historical roots, key experiments, and connection to Gestalt psychology. Bluma Zeigarnik was a Soviet psychologist who studied with Kurt Lewin, a central figure in Gestalt psychology. Zeigarnik became interested in how unfinished tasks remain in memory. Her findings, known as the Zeigarnik Effect, showed that people remembered incomplete tasks more than finished ones. One of her most famous studies involved observing waiters in cafes. Later, researchers tested this idea in laboratory experiments. They found that when a task was interrupted before it was finished, people were more likely to remember it. This happens because the unfinished task creates a kind of mental tension that keeps it active in our memory. The Zeigarnik effect is closely connected to Gestalt psychology. Kurt Lewin believed that our behavior is influenced by our whole psychological environment, not just a small part of it. When a task is left unfinished, it creates a kind of mental tension. Because of that tension, people feel motivated to finish the task. Therefore, Zeigarnik research helped show how these larger psychological forces influence the way we think and behave. People remember unfinished tasks better than finished ones, creating mental tension, so the task continually stays on your mind. However, Zeigarnik showed this with interrupted tasks in the 1920s. For this effect, we remember items that stands out. For example, in a list like dog, cat, bird, car, and fish. But in this case, we will remember the car because it is different. Therefore, this effect shows how distinct things stick out in our memories. The effect is historically important because it demonstrates how motivation and tension influence memory. Zeigarnik research helped connect the idea from European Gestalt psychology to psychological researches in the Soviet Union. Later, her work also influenced studies in cognitive psychology, especially research on memory and how people process information. Today, the Zeigarnik effect helps us remember unfinished tasks better. Students, workers, and teachers can use it by breaking tasks into small steps or pausing activities to keep focus and motivations. Even apps and games use this idea to keep people engaged. To wrap things up, both the Zeigarnik effect and the von Restov effect help us understand how memories work. We have seen that our brains tend to hold unfinished tasks and remember things that stands out. These ideas can be useful in everyday life. They can help us study better, stay focused, and be more productive. Overall, understanding these effects make it easier to remember information and get things done. Here are the sources we used for this presentation. We concluded them to give credit to the original authors and to show where the information came from. Thank you for listening. See you next time.